How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Man, what a day, Dolphin Auto. It doesn't get boring over there. Stephanie, you hung out all day long.
I did.
Not boring at all.
Sometimes you want it to be boring, don't you? Wouldn't you like a boring, at least one boring day a week? I think that's what you would prefer that, wouldn't you?
I would love to eat lunch for 15 minutes.
You know what you need to do.
Build an office.
Yeah. Or just go up in the attic and hide.
Well, the attic has a mouse in there. No, we are actually trying to expand Dolphin Auto, but not just by a little. This is a $250,000 expansion that we're going to try and do.
Yeah.
And that's ridiculous for me to think about.
But that was a hell of an intro.
Yeah,
hey,
that was
welcome
awesome.
back.
Yeah, this is the American Car Classics Radio Podcast. I'm Kenny. This is Chris, and we're behind the wheel is Stephanie. She's driving us along like crazy. We've been working, Stephanie, real quick. Before you even start talking about what you've got to go on.
Yeah.
I think that this is another one that just happens, and it's a segue right into pow.
What?
Today.
Yeah.
Dolphin Auto, we've got a 2019 Ford F-150 XLT.
Yes.
162,000 miles on a
2019.
5-liter.
Yeah. He's from New Jersey.
2019.
That's a lot of miles.
He's an older guy, 68, 70 years old.
My truck says 2017, and I got 67,000. I just hit 67,000 miles on it.
Well, he drives every year, apparently a couple times a year to Florida.
Oh, okay.
But he is religious about changing his engine oil and has had no
That's
problems.
good.
He's got all his service records. And he came down here and he's getting ready to leave. Well, he wanted to leave today.
Yeah.
And he has to be home by Saturday night. And he's an older guy, so he's going to take a couple days to do it. And he called me. I don't know. The truck was there Monday morning or something. We came in over the weekend. Tuesday. It came in and it was like there, and we didn't have a key, and so he was going to bring the key. And hey, this is my truck. I think my transmissions just went out. It just was chug, and then nothing. We got in and we haven't even driven it. We don't even know if the transmission's good or not. But we know the engine had no fuel pump, so we put a fuel pump in it. We turned a key, and it started and coughed, died. I've got an ambient temperature sensor that's reading negative 40 degrees, so it thinks it's in Colorado during the middle of a winter storm. So I put that in from the dealer, and okay, $33 was my cost, and it goes right in, and it's fixed. It says 89 degrees. Well, that means I'm not going to fatten the engine up with a bunch of fuel, thinking because I'm way up high and all this stuff. So I go ahead and crank it, thinking it's good. Nothing. My throttle body's not responding. Then we've got a code for a crank sensor. I've got multiple misfires, and I'm starting to think, you know what? This kind of reminds me of another vehicle that we had, another Ford with a 5-liter that had an issue, and it was internally worn out. The oil passages had gotten what we believe, without tearing it down, was so worn out, like a waterfall effect on water on a rock, is that the tolerance was too big, that the oil pressure's there, and if you do an oil pressure test, it's fine. But if you do an oil volume test, which is messy, taking valve covers off, watching, seeing how much you lose and what, and how far it's spurting at idle, and all this geometry crap that we all hated in school. So you have to go through the extra work to find out. Now, customers got to pay you for this. They don't even want to do that. They're like, man, I can't believe the piece of crap I bought. I can't believe I had to pay this much money. How much for a new one? I called on a used engine that comes typically with a 6-month warranty. $5,250 with 73,000 miles on it. I called the dealer and I said, how much for a new one? $6,300. $950 more for a brand new engine.
Well, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
That is a no-brainer.
But do they have it in stock?
They do. They can get it to me tomorrow, one day.
Okay.
Is he going to do that?
Okay, so
that's a lot of money.
Here's the problem.
Sorry, guys.
You just bought this truck not 7 years ago.
Yeah.
For how much? Now, okay, 7 years ago it was cheaper. You still paid $45.
At minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Now you got a transmission with this old. So you could have a transmission maybe $3 or $4 grand in the next 6 months. We don't know.
And isn't that what he came in thinking it was?
Right. So, I mean, if you want, so now you put labor. Tiana, Google. I said, get on Mitchell and see how much it is to do this. She's like, oh my God. I was like, what? She's like, it's almost 20 hours. I said, what's 20 hours? She goes, well, there's 2 different ways to do it. It says body on, body off.
We've been talking about this.
No, the lifts that have.
Yeah, everybody's been. It's easier.
Right.
It's easier to pull.
Yeah, this is
the body off of.
This is some BS though. So their estimate, what they've got into repairs, what we've done fuel pump, what we've done all this already. They're at over $11,000 on a truck that is not even 7 years old. that will still walk out of here with a transmission and a rear end that have and a suspension and everything that has. What do you do? The truck looks brand new. It is clean. It's nice. The guy's taking great care of it. Yeah. What do you do, Chris? Here you are, the consumer. What do you go home and tell your wife?
Ouch.
Is that the only repairs to replace the motor?
It's got a dead hole. Number 5 is dead. I put oil in it to see if it comes back up tomorrow. I think maybe the ring is washed out because an injector stayed on. We don't have any codes for any of this. I don't have any proof that an injector is overflowing or anything else. But I haven't torn it down. I knew that I had an ambient temperature sensor that was reading -40. And that will fatten the shit out of a motor. And if I pulled the PCV hose off and let it breathe direct through the air, it would run better. I knew that if I unplugged the throttle body and bypassed it in limp mode, it would sit there and almost idle, but with multiple misfires. We know that recently it got a crank sensor position code, crankshaft position code today. But is that because it's running so shitty that we can't really make sure that it's right there? Or is it that it actually has this because the code wasn't there and hasn't been there for the last 3 days?
You know, honestly, I mean, I'm trying to put myself in the owner's shoes, because if it was my truck, what would I do?
Yeah.
I would lean towards, now if we knew it was only the engine and the transmission's fine and all that stuff is okay, I would lean towards biting the bullet, because you can't get a truck, a 2019 Ford F-150 for $11,000.
Nope.
And if you do, you don't know what you're buying.
No.
But could you get his truck, like the year of his truck, for something $11,000, 12,
no,
20?
No, 2019, you're going to pay right now, 2019, because anybody that owns a really good high or low mileage 2019 truck that bought it for, let's say, $50,000 right now can sell it for probably 60.
Okay.
Or what they paid for it anyway, and then a dealer's going to sell it for 60 and still make $10,000.
Well,
because the next best
60.
I mean, but
you're gonna like my truck is 2017.
Yeah, with low miles.
Low miles.
What'd you pay for?
Great condition. 48.
Wow.
And that
That's
was in
the red
17.
one?
Yeah.
Wow, that makes me jealous.
And that was in
after
17.
spending my money.
And well, but here's the thing. Like, I would sell it today.
Think you got a better deal.
I think it'd be I don't know, $19,000, $20,000 truck. I think that's what they kind of go for.
Okay.
Where's
I
my
guess
phone?
you can
Maybe
look,
I can
right?
KBB this thing. Where'd my phone go?
So my big deal, as you look this up, Chris, real quick, is that as the consumer, and I'm not the consumer, I'm a mechanic. I think I said to you the other day, if I wasn't a mechanic, I would have the best bicycle in town. It's ridiculous to try to afford and do, and everything else. And so I don't know how to selling something. It's not me selling. This is me being a real human being and passionate about everything else. Is that this stinks, man? This stinks having to call people and tell them. I'm telling them they've got cancer. And they got 2 weeks to live, and hey, you still owe me $80,000. I mean, I hate it.
So without looking at Kelly Blue Book, just jumped in on the marketplace here. There's a range, right? You know, of 17 Rams like mine, without getting into the nitty gritty, but they're going anywhere from 15 to 17,000.
Right, maybe a little higher mileage than yours, and what have
They're
you.
probably in higher mileage than mine.
But that still gives you a good idea that you're not going to go out and buy a 19 for $11,000.
No,
you're going to spend you're going to spend $20,000.
Yeah,
for it.
2019 F-150. Different trim levels, but they're looking about $18,000.
It's an XLT.
That's $19,000.
Okay. So now we got a $20,000 truck done, but with a new motor, maybe they get 23. Okay, but you got 11 into it, plus whatever you paid already, everything else. It's treating them well, but what can you sell it for now? Okay, so I go buy a new truck. I'm not going to fix it, Kenny. I'm just going to.
But you don't know what you're buying,
right? Because I don't know if the transmission really was a problem. It broke down and pulled the motor back and broke a rod.
You could be spending,
I don't know.
You could be buying something that's even worse than what he has.
Well,
not if he buys new.
Unless he buys, but then
he's not.
Now you're talking about $80,000.
Now wasn't that the home run? All right.
Now you're talking about $80,000.
Not just that. We're talking about product. What are they building today, Chris? Today I turn on the news and there's Gail the astronaut, and she's telling me about Honda's 150,000 more recalls from 2014 to 2019.
Gail the astronaut. You know what? Let me start on this astronaut shit.
Oh my God!
I'm not trying to laugh, but I'm laughing.
No,
Sorry.
what?
Astronauts. You know, they're astronauts because they took an 11-minute joyride.
Who's they?
The Katy Perry and Gail.
I saw Katy Perry in concert. So
well, whatever.
It was the birthday cake tour. It was pretty cool.
Katy Perry and Gail and Jeff Bezos' plastic girlfriend.
Right.
They all took a joyride to space for 11 minutes.
Right.
And then they said they were astronauts. And how
Who said they were
you?
astronauts?
Gail.
Oh, she called herself an
Yeah.
astronaut. But
Every time a flight goes up, they get some type of information. 2 of the astronauts, I still have a hard time calling myself an astronaut.
now, did she get a NASA? Did she go through NASA training and everything else? And she got the
No.
Oh, well then she lied.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
So does
but
that mean
according
you're a
to
pilot,
her,
Chris?
exactly. That was my thing because she rode in a spaceship that went up there and then they went back down for 11 minutes, and she's an astronaut now. So
But did
guess
she
what?
grab a
I've ro-
joystick? Did she grab a
No,
joystick?
she
Oh.
didn't pilot it.
Oh.
She was a passenger. So because
She
by
works the
that
boat.
logic,
Okay.
I'm a pilot. I've flown in airplanes. And
you
I've
ever-
done more because I've actually literally flown them.
Right, because you've got to know what an altimeter is. You got to know what all the ailerons
so
and all everything
everybody,
else are. Know how to
everybody
work
that's
your
flown
flaps,
America,
pull your
and Delta, and Spirit, and all those guys, you guys are pilots.
Yes, I'm going to be an astronaut this coming
Yes,
weekend.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. And then you know what else?
You're only going to Orlando.
I mean, maybe
Unless-
I'll fly away.
So you know what else irritates me about it? There you go.
Sorry.
What else irritates me about it is these are the same people that, well, until they didn't like Elon, was pushing the EV agenda.
Yep.
Go green, save the planet, save the earth, don't use CO2 and cow farts and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
Outlawing diesel engines, and you have to put DEF in them, and it's a felony, right? If you get rid of that DEF, what is that thing on a diesel
Yeah,
engine?
it's a diesel exhaust fluid.
The diesel exhaust. If you take that off of your,
Or the EGRs. A lot of people do
Yep.
the EGR delete.
that would be a felony
Yeah, because
If
you're
you're caught
altering the
doing it.
state of manufacture.
because it's CO2 emissions, right?
Yes, right.
But they can take an 11-minute joyride and burn how much gas
Oh.
to go float in outer space
Yeah.
for 11 minutes? It's okay for them because they're celebrities and women astronauts.
Well, it made a great story. We made a great story.
It's a stupid story.
Jeff Bezos' company made money on the trip. It was successful.
Imagine that.
So does this, I don't want to say something funny about the rocket, but I'm not. But does this aid in everything that we are going to need to do because we have to evacuate the planet before too long because we've just effed it up too far beyond recognition?
So you can just go F up
Fubar or
another
something.
planet?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole goal, isn't it?
Just keep ruining.
Yes.
shit as you go.
Yes.
You know, you keep having people like that take over. They'll ruin everything.
If I'm Trump and I'm sitting back and I'm watching Biden, and we're not going political, I'm just doing for scenarios, and I watched all this EV push and everything out of Gavin Newsom, out of California, all this stuff, whatever. When I came in the market, I would just say, listen, we need to nuke Indonesia because they are the leaders in smog.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
by far.
Let's just,
But everybody keeps talking about America and how,
Yes.
but we are
Well,
by
we're
far,
the only ones trying to do anything. We're the only, right. I mean,
but we're
you
by far
can't
the
do it.
greenest.
We are.
I won't say we're the number one in the,
No.
in the nation or the country, but or the
Right.
world. I mean,
Europe,
But
and
we're
some-
up there.
We're
up there. China is far worse than us.
Yes.
I think they are the worst.
I no, they're not.
They're not worse than
No, Indonesia and what's your native whatever?
Philippines?
Something not Philippines,
Philippines
but
can't be bad.
Indonesia. I think they have
They're so small.
all those moped trike things, and there's just millions of them in the small cars, but none of them have anything good on them, and they're all hanging on by a thread, and they ain't good, breathing good.
The point is, it's all a joke.
Yeah, I
And
don't
I
know
think
if you
people are
can
starting
Google
to
that.
see through the veil of bullshit that they've been trying to sell us for the last umpteen. There's still a bunch of people out there that, and I'm not against, of everybody here, I'm probably the most pro EV person because I like options. And I think EVs have a place in the world, just not the only place in the world.
So about their trip, I was really surprised when I was sitting on the phone with a customer talking to them, right?
Yep.
And we're like, oh yeah, they're about to launch. Okay, so they launch. Then I have to go out and talk to Kenny. And by the time I came back, they were landing and she was kissing the ground.
Yeah.
She was thankful to be
I was-
back on Earth,
Yeah, because she was gone for 11
right?
months.
Did she wear a diaper?
I mean, probably not.
Okay, I don't know. That's a question you got to ask.
And here's the problem. And I don't care that they went on a joyride. I don't care about that at all.
Okay.
If they want to sell joyrides to space, I don't care.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's awesome.
You'd never go?
I
No.
just thought it was going to be way more.
I was not even. I don't care about the duration. None of that. I'm not a hater. If you guys want to go to space and pay $100, I don't care. I don't care. But don't sit there and sell it like it's some historic, noble thing that they accomplished.
Well, don't tell me you're an astronaut.
And don't tell me you're an astronaut.
Okay.
We've had female astronauts, real astronauts.
Yeah.
Many of them in the past. One lady who got stuck up there for almost a year.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a real astronaut. That's somebody who's really risking their life
And
to
Sally
go
Ride.
explore space. They didn't explore anything.
No.
And
air in
that's the
their
part that irritates me is like, oh, they're trying to sell it as this big thing. Oprah's crying because it's super emotional.
Yeah.
That's such bullshit, man. Don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining. You know, it's just
Chris
it's such
said a bad word.
nonsense.
Okay.
Just
No, it's
nonsense.
just the whole. I'm a visual guy, so I went right there. I went right there. It was horrible.
It's just
So-
nonsense.
No, it is.
But
it is.
no, if they want to sell rides to space and you've got the money to do it, all power to you, man.
But
Go
we know
for it.
that Katie. We know that Oprah. We know that they are Democrats, and so they certainly went across the grain on this. It just does seem.
If you want to go down that road,
No, I don't.
I mean, if it had been a bunch of GOPs on a joyride, the liberal left's head would have exploded saying, look at all the CO2 emissions
Yes.
you're wasting because
Right.
you wanted to go on a joyride.
Right. Yes, I know. Definitely,
Hypocrites.
yeah. Two-way street.
Let's talk about cars.
Yeah. I came in all ripped up about the whole.
I
about
like
the-
cars a whole lot more than I like.
Well, do you, Chris?
Spaceships.
Because
Hypocritic
here I'm going to
celebrities.
jump right into what you said, Kenny. I'm excited about today. Well, I got some stuff to tell people about cars.
I forgot what it was. No, I didn't. You know what I do? I write things down.
You've got a Bible.
I write things
Damn right.
Well, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about buying a car because I was looking at that Camaro,
Oh yeah. The Gen.
Yeah.
the third gen Camaro.
That's right.
And I was like, there's red flags in buying cars.
Red flags on
Buying a car,
Okay.
buying a used car, and not necessarily model specific, but in generalized human body language red flags that you can pick up on when you're going to buy a car from somebody.
Would you compare it to playing poker?
I think my poker skills have definitely assisted in that.
Okay. And you communicate a lot at work with execs
All kinds
and
of people.
minions.
Yeah, all kinds of people.
Right. So that gives you a lot of advantage on asking the right question without the least amount of energy and evasiveness. I mean,
Yep.
you've learned how to interview, your words to me.
Yes.
So with that, it really helps you to get to the point quickly.
Yes.
On a lot of things.
And it's all about, and especially like in poker and in body, anything, everybody is completely unique and everybody is completely different.
Yeah.
And so you have to establish what I call a baseline behavior
Okay.
for anybody that you meet. Somebody that's very, very calm, very monotone, very, self-disciplined. All right, that's their baseline. They
Square.
get outside of that, like, what's going on? Now, here's my little spidey senses, or why are they out of that? Now, if you get somebody who's very animated, right? Always talks a lot. Okay, well, I'm still going to get, yeah, exactly. I'm still going to have spidey senses because a lot of people do that because they play the shell game, as I call it. Look over here. So I don't really, I'm not.
Take away from this. Right?
Yeah, so I'm not going to, especially somebody I don't know, I'm automatically calling bullshit unless I figure it out later.
How did we hook up, man?
Well, because you weren't playing the shell game. And so
you
I'm
can
still
see that though, because I'm that.
because it was nonstop. It never changed.
Yeah.
No matter what you talked about, and I would ask about something else, and you would the same way. Ask about this.
Yeah.
So you have to
What'd you have for
establish.
dinner? Oh my God, I have.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to establish that baseline.
It's
right?
the difference between having ADD, ADHD, and the shell game.
Yes.
Okay,
Like there's
right
a
on.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's all it is.
Yeah.
So whenever you're out there talking to somebody to buy a car, you just establish their behavioral baseline.
Yeah, I'm
whatever
truly,
it's
I'm
going to
truly
be.
sick. I'm not faking it.
Yeah.
That's great. See, y'all just cost me a therapist. Go ahead.
So I have a couple of things that that I wrote down that really and these aren't even behavioral ones. These are just normal ones. So first off, do some background research on the car that you are going to look at. And what I mean by go on YouTube, I'm not going to sit here and tell you like, hey, look for rust here and look for rust there and
Right.
make sure you pull engine. There's a million videos on YouTube.
That's right.
That will tell you, hey, 1989 Camaros, look for these problems. So do that. If you're going to look for a 1989 Camaro, go do research on all the issues that 89 Camaros have.
Yeah.
That way, that sets you have a behavioral baseline. Now you have your car baseline.
Right.
So you
Okay.
know what normal is.
And one of the big things about YouTube, Chris, is that not just looking at that video, but and pause it, do whatever. Look at the people that have added stuff because they're commenting on this guy's video. These are the people that either have more questions that you learned from, or they have the experience to say, dude, that's not normal rust. They usually don't rust here. That's an excessive rust problem. And
Check
now
your
you know,
T-tops,
if you do
whatever.
see rust in that one spot, it's already called excessive rust in an area. So that means it's probably from up north, which you ran into.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So how did you check the car? Just Carfax? Is that the only thing out there to do it to? How do you check the background of a car?
Yeah. Carfax is probably the best, I think.
Is it the only one out there?
That's a good question. That's the only one I use.
It's the only one you know of.
It's the only one I trust, I think.
Kelley Blue Book. They just give you a value. They don't
give you a value. There are other websites that will, tell you the history of a car, but I don't really know that I trust them as much as I do Carfax.
On classic cars, we would call Hagerty if we were insured with Hagerty. We call them. They have a program inside their own.
Yeah, the classics. That's for sure. But there's a few things, and you can start off just asking questions. Like one question I'll ask somebody is, "Hey, can you shoot me the VIN number?" Then and here, this is all before you show up. Hey, shoot me the VIN number. And then if you get ghosted, all right, they're obviously trying to hide something.
Right.
They don't want to share it because there may be something on that Carfax.
Right.
As much as you love that car, it ain't worth the problems that you're about to encounter. So ask for the VIN, run the Carfax. Yes, it costs money, but you can pull like 4 Carfaxes a year, and I think it's like $80.
Okay, it's not bad.
But don't
For the consumer, that's not bad. For somebody like me that wanted to, this wholesaler looking for,
Well,
that's a
and
hard
then
way to go.
there's a different for commercials. There's a different plan
Great.
you guys can.
I noticed because I was shopping for my son a car not too long ago, and a lot of dealerships and like smaller places already run the Carfax on those vehicles?
They do.
Because I've noticed like it'll say Carfax blah blah blah.
Yes.
But make sure they give you all the pages.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't get any pages, but it said.
Yeah, make sure you get all the pages.
Wow.
And that's another red flag, right?
Right.
Hey, can you? They'll give you the front page. It's all good. They get little check marks and the little cool fox. Yeah, and this is part of setting a baseline for the car. Is don't be in a rush for it. Don't be in a rush for it.
Well,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are, Chris, because your engine blows up, and now you've got to find one. You've got to get home to Jersey. So now
what did I tell you earlier?
I forget.
Rent a car.
Oh yeah. You told me.
Right.
If you have to have a car,
Okay.
and you need it in a short amount of time, it is cheaper to pay $200, $300 to rent a car for a few days.
Didn't I just go through a story like a month or two ago about a guy that came and I said, that's a knock, don't drive it. He got to St. Augustine. He was going home to Connecticut. He got to St. Augustine, and that's
Died.
and it died. And at the dealer, he had to put a whole new motor in it. And we could have saved him probably $1,000, $1,500 maybe on it.
So yeah, don't be in a rush. If you need
That's
a
a
car,
huge one.
You need a car. That's fine. Go rent one. If you're under 25 and you can't have your parents rent one, they can put you on as a driver. That $300, $400, $500 can save you $5,000, $6,000. And
Man, yeah.
And I got a story about that. So these red flags hit a little close to home because my oldest daughter, and her husband, my son-in-law, they were just looking out shopping for a car, which is the story I'll tell you here in a bit. And they did. I ran this whole checklist with them.
Yeah.
With the car they're buying, and this is not foolproof, as you'll see in a minute. So the second thing is if the seller will not allow you to take that car to an independent mechanic for an inspection.
That's right.
You
Now,
say,
is that
hey,
something people normally let you do?
They absolutely should.
If they don't,
Okay.
I wouldn't buy a car from them.
and here's the thing.
Okay.
There might be people who are apprehensive, like, oh, I don't want you to drive it over there. That's fine. Can you meet me over here at Dolphin Auto?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine. Yeah, meet me there. I don't, because I know if I was selling a car, I'm not going to let stranger Susie drive off in my car to
Right.
somewhere I don't know.
Right.
You know.
And I'm your mechanic, and you say to me, hey, I'm looking for a new car. I want to know where you're buying it from. Some places I know and some places I don't. But I want to say to you that I do a pre-purchase inspection, and I will go for $39.95. I'll put your car in the rack. I'm not going to pull the wheels, but I'm going to look at everything really good.
Right.
And I can't tell what the inside of
Check
an
the
alternator
fluids.
looks like.
No, you can't,
I can't
but-
tell what the inside of your transmission looks like without opening up, but I can get a good idea on a lot of stuff. And
You
I
can
do
check the frame. You can check the suspension.
all of it, because stuff is rust underneath it. You can't see. The body looks good. They had that little bit of stuff done. But what I do on mine is that if you don't buy that car for any reason I said or any other reason, I only charge $5 for every car after that you bring in until you find one you buy.
You're sweet.
But this is going
That's a good deal.
this is going to the car sales that if you can't let me take this to my mechanic, there's a problem.
And ask yourself a question. If you're selling a car and you're trying to make 10 grand on a car, for us, I know I would love to make 10 grand real quick, right?
Now, if we're talking classic resto, then okay, you can do it.
I'm just talking about like if I was selling my truck.
Right.
If you're buying anything, it doesn't have to be a classic car. But if you're just selling a car, you want to make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 selling your car and get it out of your driveway. I can't be hassled with taking it to an inspection. What?
That's someone's savings,
Yeah.
Like that's their money.
But it also, as me as the seller,
yeah.
it allows me to get rid of this car. Mm-hmm. But if he's like, no, I can't be hassled with that. Huge red flag.
Yeah.
If he's going to make thousands of dollars, you tell him you can't be hassled for thousands of dollars
For an hour, 2 hours.
for an hour of your time.
Right.
He
Now,
just doesn't want it inspected.
Marketplace, you can rate a seller,
You can.
but some car stores you can only look at reviews, and I guess that pays to do it always too.
But, if it's a car store, they're going to allow you to take it to the mechanic.
Well,
They
you'd
should.
be surprised.
Yeah, I know. So get it inspected. Absolutely get it inspected.
We have a mechanic. They look at it. It's fine. You buy a car?
I don't trust that mechanic.
That's what they told us.
Anytime, if you show up and the car is already warmed up, that's kind of a red flag for me.
Okay.
Great one, Chris. Great.
Yeah.
It's
I
already
wouldn't have
hot.
thought of
It's already
that.
warm. Like
Great.
Why? Why is that already warmed up?
Right.
Because it has a hard time starting when it's cold.
cold
That's
start.
right. Because it blows a lot of smoke. Yeah. Because it shakes until it warms
Yep.
up and everything closes
So
back together with a tighter
if-
tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you show up and it's already warm, there may be an honest reason why. They may have driven it to you.
Right.
They may have. I don't know. But a lot of times when people are selling cars, they're sitting there.
That's
because they're not
correct.
driving them.
That's correct.
Every day.
That's correct. Now, hey, I just had somebody show up and they just left. Okay. But generally, when you're coming to look at a car, usually it's, hey, I've got somebody else coming, because that's going to make you be, if you really want it, you're going to come faster.
Yep.
You're going to argue less because you really want it. I'm going to get you on that.
No, that's not necessarily a bad thing if it's, or it's not a deal breaker if it's already warmed up.
No.
But it's something, it's a spidey sense. Your spidey sense start tingling there, right?
right.
So if you have your pros and your cons, and like you should be having a whole lot more pros than cons, and you're already on my cons list. Why is this warmed up? You ask the questions.
Yeah.
You're nonchalant. Don't be like, why is this warmed up? Why'd you do this to this car? Blah, blah, blah. No, man, just kind of you put them on you kind of lull them to sleep.
Right. How about if there's only like 35 or 40,000 miles on the car, but the driver's seat is worn out on the side getting in and out of the car?
That odometer.
That odometer trick, man. A lot of cars
I
are susceptible
don't
to
trust
it.
that odometer
That's right.
now.
That's right.
So, especially a 5-digit odometer. But then you're talking about a classic car and mileage.
right.
Mileage in the classic car, I don't really care about
It's
because I probably don't
irrelevant
trust
almost.
it.
That's right.
I don't trust
That's right.
it.
But even if it is something, I mean, unless you're trying to sell it documented as a low mileage something, then right.
And here's on the opposite side of when you show up and the car's not already warmed up. What if they don't let your car? They don't want the car idling. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
So what you should do is you should start up, let it run, turn the AC on, turn everything on, walk around the car, sit there and BS with the guy, talk to the person, blah, 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 while it's running.
Absolutely. They come
Let
back
it get
from a
up to
test drive,
10.
they shut it off.
Yeah, or they just keep shutting it off. Hey, did you turn that off? I was like, why? I don't have any gas. Oh, let's put some gas in it.
Right.
Yeah, I'll give you $10. Let's put gas in it.
They don't want.
Right.
It starts overheating. They don't want you to know that it overheats.
How about that?
Oh, the AC don't get cold. Oh, the AC, it's fine. It blows cool.
Right.
As soon as it's cool, it doesn't work.
That means it's leaking.
It doesn't work.
Right.
So,
Especially in Florida, you don't want cool.
No.
You want
No.
cold.
Nope.
Cold.
Nope.
So yeah, if it's already warmed up, if they don't let you it should just sit there and run, no problem. Because you got to think
Without
if
a
you're at a
doubt.
red light,
Yeah.
So those are a few things, and then here's the big one: when you get statements from the seller, and they're just not adding up.
Like your guy down south.
The guy down south, he's like, oh, it's been in the family, but he's in Florida. The car spent, it's a 40-year-old car and spent 35 years of its life in Ohio.
Right. But none of that was really given forthcoming. You had to do Carfax and find out where stuff was.
Yep.
And
it
he
didn't
gave
make
it a VIN,
sense.
so he did. But then
But
you
then-
hit him back, and his quick responses were quickly slowing
Yeah,
down.
they stopped. So
Did you ever get a response?
Nope.
So that's a red flag. And
Yeah.
is that car still for sale?
Nope.
Oh.
I don't know if he sold it or what.
took it down, right. So you got to test it all. You got
Absolutely.
And that you need it warmed
Absolutely.
up to be able to test the heat.
I mean, yes.
You need it warmed up
Yeah,
to test your
of
fans.
course. Absolutely.
And how about your fans? That there's so many different speed settings that are controlled by the computer based on what it sees from sensors, which is temperature, pressure sensors off the AC to make the fan kick on higher.
Yep.
Or maybe there's just a fan designated for condenser. That's another reason to keep it idling. You want to hear it. And when that load comes off the compressor, does the car stall? Because it needs a tune-up or it's got a bad wire or a vacuum leak? I mean, all the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, we didn't get into a lot of the, check the battery. That's what your pre-purchase inspection is for. They'll check your fluids. And not saying you shouldn't pull the old dipstick and
Kick
and
the
things.
tires. I mean,
Kick
that's
the
all
tire-
part of it.
Do all that stuff
Right.
Prior to taking it to a pre-purchase. But absolutely take it to a mechanic. So my daughter and my son-in-law,
Yeah.
they have one car.
Your grandson's parents.
Yes, my grandson's parents. So they have one car.
That's
Just
it.
one. Just one.
Okay.
They're both in the military. Right now, they're getting by because they're both on the same shift.
Love you guys.
Yes, love you guys. Both on the same shift. Come to find out, they're going to be put on separate shifts, so they need this second car.
Oh, yeah.
They are under contract to buy a house.
Ah.
So going to buy a new car, one, not a smart idea because they're not cheap. Secondly, since you're, for those of you who don't know, don't buy cars or anything on credit when you're under contract to buy a house. It will ruin that ability to buy the house. So they needed a car. I offered to help them buy one.
Okay.
They're in Colorado Springs. They say, I was like, go find a car that you guys like. He wanted a Subaru. He likes Subarus, all-wheel drive, Colorado.
Makes sense.
Good cars.
A lot of people have them.
Yep. So he finds a 2008 Subaru Outback. They live in Colorado Springs. He finds it in Denver. So it's about an hour away.
Okay.
A little over an hour. They go to look at it. I think the car was $4,800. I'm like, okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
They drive up there. I was like, hey, man, give me the VIN. I'll run the VIN for you. So they didn't have to pay for it. So they shoot me the VIN. Come to find out that it was a salvage title car. Okay.
So that's another one that you really want to mention about as a red flag, because this is for some people that don't know. And if it looks great, runs great, drives great, but has this, what does it mean to a consumer?
Exactly. So normally I run away from a salvage title car. This is an old car, and so I start looking through it. It was a 2008. It was totaled in 2010. That's when it was totaled. So 15 years ago, it was totaled.
2 years old.
When it was 2 years old, it was totaled, and it got fixed.
Okay.
Went through multiple state inspections after repair, passed all these inspections, and has been driving ever since.
How many miles?
Had 144,000 miles on
So
it.
driven ever since, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it had, I think, 8,000 miles on it when it got totaled. So it's been driving all this time.
Yeah, they didn't skip a beat.
Now, does
8,000.
it tell you why it was totaled?
Yes, it was an accident, where it was at, with the sides and all this. 'Cause
Okay,
it was
so it
like,
gives you
like
all
somebody
the
got
details.
T-boned or whatever
Okay.
it was. So I was like, all right, so I'm not really so concerned about a salvage title now. Save a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a beater car. It's a to and from work car, right? I was like, okay, get a pre-purchase inspection on it. And of course, they're young. They're like, I don't know. I was like, I'll call around and I'll find you a mechanic. Just take it to them. They're okay, yeah. They go to see the car, I think on a Saturday evening or Sunday evening. It was at a dealership, but it's one of those mom and pop dealerships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep, car lot.
Yeah. So not like a Dodge
No.
or a Ford
Yeah.
store. They go look. So the guy actually comes and meets them halfway, I believe. So meets them 30 minutes that way. They go see the car. So it's already warmed up. They kind of run through the list.
Why did he do that? Did he bring somebody in case he got
I
to
think
ride home?
I think it was a Sunday evening. No, because he wasn't selling it that day. He told me, he's like, you have to come back Monday to do the paperwork.
Okay.
So I think he was just trying to help him out. I was like, that way you don't have to come all the way up
Okay.
here because I can't sell it to
All
you
right.
today anyway.
All right.
So they went and saw it. They liked it, which I thought was pretty cool because most salesmen, they don't want you to sleep on it. They want you to buy it now.
Right.
So that was kind of a pro in
And
my
he's
book.
going to drive a half hour out and a half hour back, which tells me he's not afraid of putting this thing into gear and going and
Exactly.
getting it.
If he's going to drive for 30 minutes in it,
Got you.
he feels safe.
So I feel like
that's good.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, because if it's a crap car, I'm not driving in it for 30 minutes.
That's right.
One way and another 30 minutes back. I'm not going to drive an hour in this
right.
thing.
Now they got badgers. They do, bro.
They got mooses up there.
Mooses?
Mooses.
Is that plural? Isn't it just moose?
Man, I think it's moose. Just moose. But I like saying mooses is so much more fun. Mooses is more fun. It's funner.
I call one ambulance an ambuli.
An ambuli?
Yeah, because it's one, singular. An ambulance would be plural.
And the American language is so stupid.
Okay, go on. I could squirrel on that shit all day. All right. So anyway,
they go back Monday
and buy it.
So they get there and it's like, hey, can we take it to the mechanic? He's like, absolutely. Sure can.
Okay. Passing all the red flags.
Goes to the mechanic. Mechanic's like, they did like a 45-minute hour inspection on it. Mechanic's like, good to go, bro. Really? Yep, absolutely. So the guy, because it was salvaged, he took it down, the price down to like $4,200.
What'd they charge for that inspection?
$125.
Now you're getting your ideas.
$125. Anyway, so they did the inspection, passed the inspection. I send my daughter the money. I sent her $4,800.
Nice, daddy.
Yeah. And so I sent her $4,800 to buy it. They're driving it for just over a week. They drove all the way home, no issues. He'd been driving it for a week. That was kind of like their primary car. Put miles on the old one versus, my daughter's car, which is newer. Taking it everywhere. Then it just dies on them.
Now, it didn't just die.
It just shut off.
It shook violently.
Yeah, it did a little, and then it died at a red light.
And so,
but they got it into a parking lot.
Right. They started it back up and drove it into a parking lot.
Yep.
So we started talking about suspension, rack and pinion, power steer, something happened.
I really didn't think it was a suspension thing. I didn't. You talking about a suspension thing. I didn't think it was. It was like, and we said, is there a check engine light? There was a check engine light, which was like, okay, definitely not. I was like, maybe it's the cats. Catalytic converters, especially older cars, you get over 150,000 miles.
That's right.
They clog up, and you got to replace them or cut them out. It's up to you. Anyway, they pull the codes.
No comment.
Yeah, they pull the codes. Had something to do with Bank 1 lien. For those you don't know, when you have a car, you have Bank 1, you have Bank 2. Side of the motor.
If it's a V engine, if it's inline, then you have bank 1, and then you have an upstream or downstream, which would become sensor number 2.
Yep. But it was saying it was lean. Okay, I'm thinking sensor. My son-in-law's dad goes out there. He's not thinking sensor. So I'm not there. So my son-in-law's parents live there. He goes and looks at it. He's like, I don't think it's a sensor. I was like, all right. I talked to you, like, get a mobile mechanic out there to kind of really diagnose it. So that's what they did. They called a mobile mechanic. Mobile mechanic came out. Engine was blown.
Oof.
How did he figure that out?
I don't know how he figured it out. I never really talked to my son-in-law about it.
I don't know if it's pertinent, but I always like to know. I mean, he pulled the valve cover cap off, and there was a milkshake.
Yeah, I don't know, but he said
tried
it
to
was the
crank
piston.
it over, and it just went gunk.
The piston was number one piston. I think he said was seized.
Okay.
So the motor's gone. So
wow.
$4,800.
Owned it for a week. Well, now what are they going to junk it? You're going to junk it?
They got a quote to replace the motor.
Okay. With what type of motor? Used?
Probably.
Okay.
Be my guess after knowing the price.
Yeah.
Guess what the quote was? You're an auto shop.
Well, let's just go with a used engine on a Subaru 08. I'd say that the labor is going to be 11 hours, so you're looking at $1,300 and $1,400 anyway. And then the engine used, I'm going to go with at least a couple grand if it was used. You're $6,500 out the door.
$7,200.
Okay.
$7,200. The car's worth $4,000.
I know.
I laugh because it hurts.
I'm in a similar boat with my son's car. So I sent them out.
Very true.
I sent them out. I gave him money to buy a car. And I was like, oh, this will be a great thing for you and your dad to do together. And neither one of them looked under the hood.
Which isn't Connor's fault.
No, he's 20. So
He went with an adult.
yeah. And then neither one of them looked under the car.
Which is very rusty.
What kind of car is it?
It's a Jeep Liberty, which I did not know that those typically.
That's a red flag for me right there.
That's a Jeep Liberty. So I didn't know that.
And I said, I'm so sorry. I
That's
said
what
they're not
Tiana
good
told
cars.
me.
They're not good cars.
And I had no idea. So like listening to your red flag list. I'm like,
She was checking them off one by one by one.
I'm like, we hit all of them, guys.
Yeah. Bingo!
Did I win something?
So is it a good car?
No, so the first time he was like, Mom, something's leaking. I opened, female here, don't know anything about cars.
That's all
I
good.
do now.
Yeah.
But I opened, it was what, my second week here?
Yeah.
Opened the hood and I was like, what's this hole? What's this hole?
It was
These
the
aren't supposed to be here.
It was the radiator,
The
right?
radiator.
Had a big old crack in it.
And
Yeah.
it was obvious enough to
Oh, it
me
was broke.
as someone who has not looked at an engine
Yeah.
or at a,
Now, what year is this, Liberty?
2002,
How many miles?
140,000.
And what was the sale price?
I think like 4,500 plus taxes and tags.
I would have paid $2,000 for that.
Two
Yeah, so I'm not happy.
I'm really, really unhappy.
I'm really sad about that because that was, this is his first. Well, actually, this is his second vehicle. His other one was a Lincoln, and it caught fire just down the street. So we're having really bad luck. Really bad luck.
Yeah.
But and instead of renting a car like you suggested, because I was like, oh, I don't have $400, I bought the parts.
Well, it needs ball joints, but it's already needed a radiator, and it's got rust, and it's like, how long is it going to last, and how long is it going to be good for? What do you. And
then these are there's
lot.
no steadfast rules, I guess you would say, or guidelines to follow.
No,
you make the best decision you can when you can.
But here again, it goes back to Chris's very first thing. Don't rush it.
Yeah.
How many car lots did you go to? This is a time with your son. You're going to go to 3 or 4, and then you're going to get hungry and go to Chick-fil-A.
So
you're going to talk about them. You're going to sit down with your phone. You're going to look at reviews. You're going to look at typical problems. You're going to, take your time.
I think that day they spent all day out and about. I don't know what they had looked at before that day. I had looked at different things, but hadn't came up with anything that I agreed on yet.
Right.
And then I just woke up and they were gone buying a car. So I was like, okay, cool. But we were in a rush because he drives my daughter to and from school so that I can work.
Yeah.
And when I can't pick her up, he picks her up. So it was like a rush-ish situation, but not so much of a rush that we buy something crappy so that we have to keep putting money into it, or that the vehicle only lasts, I think it was 3 weeks we had it before I put $300 into it.
This is the hardest thing in deciding about what to do. Do you go new? You know that as soon as you buy used, you're buying somebody else's inherited problem. That's rule of thumb. So
you try to mitigate that risk as much as possible.
Yeah. Now Stephanie, she was screwed out the gate for this idea of mine, but for me, who's somebody's established in the area, if I'm not a mechanic and I've lived here and I'm a lifelong Floridian, so I've got people on the West Coast and East Coast here and everything else, I would get on Facebook and say, hey, I'm looking for a car. Any of my friends have one they're thinking about selling? Now, if you've been my friend, you're not going to fuck me over. If it's
I would hope.
Sorry, but you're not going to screw me if this is a genuine person that was thinking about just doing something. Oh man, I could actually get. Yeah, no, I've got a car coming up. That's the best way to buy a car from somebody that you know that you can trust.
But
Otherwise,
with somebody
you
like
don't,
me who ping pongs everywhere, we don't have.
And right, so you don't have even though your parents are here and whatever, you don't really have a big field of friends over lifelong that have been Steph coming. So it doesn't work for you. But I want you to kind of shop local and try to do this. Now, I wish that when we looked at it and saw this, it was here again on the sticker, buying it as is. I would still like for you to go back and have Connor and his dad go and say, hey, it says Carfax report right here. I never got it. Can I have it?
Okay.
It might give you
insight.
No, it might give you something to stand on. It might give us a little insight here on the show.
Was it at a dealership?
It was at a mom and pop.
Oh, okay.
It was at a mom and pop, and honestly,
I don't even like saying that because I
want to go to them and be like, look, this is what you're doing to me and my family. Like, I don't feel safe with my children in this vehicle. Those are my two prized possessions, and
that's correct.
The steering could go out.
Yeah, so for me, I'm a mom and pop auto repair shop, and I love saying it because I truly am husband and wife and grounded in Florida, been here else. I want to call this place an independent car lot.
Yes, I will say that.
Because there's a big difference. Buy here, pay here's. Look, man, they don't own their property. They set up, They shut down. They're like a circus. They can go down the road. They can change their names. How long has their business been in? 6 months, but you've been here 9 years. How many other companies have you had? Because you get sued, and it's just easy to shut it down.
And those kinds of dealerships, I don't even view them as dealerships. I view them as just like going to somebody's driveway.
So
that's the same.
The guy that sold the Subaru, was he that?
He was a dealership,
an independent car lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But what could you do to mitigate having that issue again? But because it's an engine.
You don't know.
On theirs, for that Subaru?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You're not going to find that.
Yeah, because they even went to a mechanic and they didn't see it.
But if they read that, I get a little bit of bearing knock somewhere had to have occurred somewhere. Something caused this.
Now, that's true. Now, after they've been driving for 2 or 3 days, you and I are sitting in the cars, we're driving like, hey, what's that noise?
Right.
Maybe we would pick up on that because they're young and they're not really exposed to a lot of engine noises.
Yeah, stress. They got a baby. They got
Well,
it's
that right there.
It's just experience of driving cars or having cars break down on you, right? I mean,
that's right.
That's how you start hearing stuff like I've had cars break down on me, and you've had break down on you.
Yeah.
So it's just life experience. So had we been in the car, 2 or 3 days after, I said, hey, that don't sound right.
Right.
Let's get this looked at.
But
or even before we bought it. And the guy that did the inspection, did he test drive it or did it just pull it from the bay into the shop?
They did not test drive it.
Right. So that's when you get so there's a difference of school, sitting here behind the desk and doing all this. And there's a difference of real world where we get done with this. I'm going to go QC it, quality control it. I'm going to go test drive it. I want to feel it.
Yeah, because you test drive all your cars.
All of them. All of them.
After you're done with it.
All of them. It's just a difference. So how about G and her husband maybe call the guy they bought the car from? Maybe he has a mechanic that they're willing to do it a lot less labor. Look, man, we bought Good Faith, and I know you don't owe us anything.
Yep.
But if you know the area and you know a good used sales lot that'll give us a 6-month warranty on a used engine, we'll buy it. And then you guys put it in.
I think they kind of do both. I don't think they're an auto shop per se, but they do have a shop to fix cars and flip them.
But you don't want to tear it down and have the motor down for a month and a half, let the car sit in the lot with it torn down.
So G's going to contact the guy who.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a bad actor.
No.
Because I just don't have that information.
That's right.
Well, he could have maybe not known at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Engines go bad.
And she'll know more when she gets back in touch with him. And if he's cold, then then oh crap.
But since they repair cars and they're in that business of flipping cars, she's like, hey, can you buy this back for like $1,500? If you can fix it, and you can fix it at your cost, and you can turn around and sell it for $4,000 again. But she's just wanting to, try to get some money out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, she's not going to ask him for a quote to fix it.
I don't think so.
Oh, she's not going to get him to buy it back. Never.
So
no.
Not even to fix and flip?
Maybe, man. If I knew it was just clean, this was a fluke and whatever, but then I'm just going to really try to just sell you the motor and help you out.
Yeah, maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll be like, hey, I won't buy it back, but I'll sell you a motor for $2,000.
Well, I want them to offer, to suggest, hey, can you help us with this? Start out with that. Yeah. And well, what do you mean? Well, now I'm going to give you 2 scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what she said. G's like, I'm going to just talk to him, see what he can do.
I have worked hard at the end of a day after something has gone wrong to be very fair with the customer.
Oh yeah, I've seen it time and time again.
And if that means making no profit, but keeping that customer, because what pays you down the road?
Repeat business.
Damn right. So.
But Kenny, I've also seen you even with this customer who has this XLT. You've given him breaks left and right with the pricing because you just feel bad. He's never going to be a return customer because he doesn't live here.
That's right.
And you're doing this just out of to be nice.
I'm doing it to be fair. I'm not trying to be nice. I don't want to do this. The real world is I've got a lot of bills to pay. I'd love to make that money, and I should be a pretty wealthy, independent shop owner after 13 years of this and everything else through life. And I'm not where I wish I was.
Not all heroes wear capes, Kenny.
Okay.
So
okay.
true.
And so we'll take that. Look, I have a Mighty Mouse tattoo on this arm. Here I come to save the day. It is a crutch. It's a crutch. I used to think it was something awesome. It's a crutch because it keeps me, although I'm humble, it keeps me on the ground level where I'm human. And I suffer from not knowing everything about things too. And
there's a fine line between helping someone.
Right.
And this goes into baseline behavior.
Yeah. Okay.
Of people that you deal with. Some people, you can genuinely tell this person needs help and you help them.
That's right.
Then there's other people who know that good-natured side and take advantage of it and pretend they need help.
That's right.
Because they know if they keep whining and crying and sob story.
This guy has never spoken about $1. He has not argued about $1 at all. And his daughter and her husband aren't scoffing at anything. What's going on is that he doesn't speak much English. He's not from here, so he ain't got a lot of places to go. I don't even know why he found us. It just broke down up front. I have no clue.
I don't know.
Google, I don't know what he did. But I know that he's stuck. And that they are saying, look, my daddy's got to be home by Sunday night.
To be here.
Now I guess they're going to fly him. And that's an added insult to injury because now you're coming back for your truck. I don't know any of the criteria. They haven't said, oh, my God, you don't understand. This is killing me. They've met it face up, which is super huge. It makes my job easier.
But see, that's good. That means they're not
so polite. Like everything has been really smooth.
I've said before, Tiana is happy that I listened for at least one thing. I do say no sometimes. I have learned the very hard way, but I do say no sometimes, unless there's a car for sale cheap. But
there's evidence everywhere.
I tell people sometimes we get frustrated, and I got that shark mentality where I just flip the switch and fuck you. But it is, and I mean that in a wholesome way. You can push my buttons so far that eventually I'm going to get pissed off. I end up trying to tell somebody basically, I did not buy this car. I do not own this car. I did not drive this car. This car is your problem. I'm here to help you if you want me to, but I am not the owner of your problems. Now, that's separate right there because it's very easy for me, the way I talk and sell and do, to make you feel like I will accept ownership of this problem.
But it's not your problem.
It's not my problem. And at home, at night, I'm going to go home and I'm going to sleep good because I didn't rip anybody off.
Yeah.
You know, and I tried really, really hard, and I gave every concession I could. And there are some people that don't think that. And that think that I rip people off. And, and you know, I can't do this with everybody the right way about everything.
Chris said it really well the last podcast. Not every customer is a good customer.
That's a fact.
Hoo-ah!
That's a fact.
So what do you do now? Because they still are going to do separate shifts. Now the timeline's even tighter.
So his dad has an old minivan.
Okay.
That nobody drives. It's paid off. He's had it, and he's just not going to get rid of it.
So donate it to them for now.
Yeah. So they're just going to drive it until a solution arises.
So that they're not in a rush.
Exactly.
And you're not towing that car down here on the back of a U-Haul trailer, are you?
To Florida? Mm-hmm. Why would I do that?
Because we could find a motor cheap and put it in for them, and you know
the cost to get it here.
I know, that's what I'm saying to you, bro.
It's cost prohibitive.
Listen, those engines are pretty easy to pull out. I don't think it's hard. Subaru's small little motors.
Penny, are you saying you want to vacation to Colorado?
You know how many times G?
I love Colorado.
Colorado Springs is beautiful.
It is. Probably
is
this year.
ACCR going on a field trip?
Oh,
No, not till
ACCR road
October.
trip.
Not till October.
Yeah, ACCR
Hey,
road trip.
I'm going to
that's my
Vegas.
birthday.
I want to go. So
October's my birthday.
is it? When's that?
23rd.
Okay.
When is SEMA?
It's I don't know.
Oh, anyway.
Okay.
Well,
keep
auto
going.
news. Auto news. We'll shift gears. Auto news, because we always talk about auto news, right?
Yep.
So, and I don't know how true this is still holding on, because this might be old news, because it's tariffs.
Oh, yeah.
It's just changing by the day, it seems like, with tariffs. But
Yeah.
Jaguar,
That
who's going
all-electric
all
company.
EV,
Yep.
and Land Rover have decided to say this to selling cars in America.
What?
Yep, they said
You
they
and
will
Tiana love
not.
the G-Wagon, man.
They will stop. Well, this is not Mercedes.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking about it.
But yeah, Jag and Land Rover are going to stop selling cars in the U.S. due to the tariffs. Obviously, that will change whenever the tariff thing changes.
How many lawsuits are the owners of a dealership going to sue the corporate manufacturer for abandonment? I mean, you got them under contract. There's no way they can just stop.
But so would they just provide to
Oh
those?
my God! How is that even? I
don't know.
How is that?
I'm
how
just
is that
here for
even
the ride.
possible? How is that even?
Because I can't afford either one of those anyway.
Oh,
We
November.
had a Jaguar. It was nice and cheap, though. We got it from an auction.
The older
But to
one.
fix them,
Yeah, they're
SEMA is November 4th to November 7th.
okay.
So not your birthday, but I want to drive Lucy out there. November's getting a little bit iffy on the weather. Isn't it getting a little chilly
In
out there?
Vegas?
Yeah.
No, it's
At
beautiful.
night? At night?
Beautiful.
Ah, it gets cold.
Beautiful in
Gets cold.
November.
Yeah, I'm a pussy. It gets cold.
No,
I think so.
no.
Okay.
But if you're driving cross country, it's going to be cold in other states.
Yeah, I don't. Well, we've gone to October. We've gone to Tennessee in October, and we hit through Asheville and stuff, and it's cold.
No, that's cold. But
Yeah.
Vegas in
Yeah,
November.
we've driven down with blankets on us and stuff. No heater. Core
Vegas
or
in
whatever.
November, you're still wearing shorts. man.
Okay, good.
Beautiful.
But what
Yeah.
about all the states?
Well, I take
that you
I-10.
go?
I
In
take
between, if
I-10.
10, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a boring drive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a. I've driven that.
Okay.
I drove 10 from Florida to Vegas.
Well, how would I else would I go?
That's the best way to go.
I know it's
But
bad.
it's such a boring drive.
I went.
But if you've
10.
never done it, I've driven 10 to Texas, but never past that.
Once you get past, what is it, Houston on I-10? I think that is. Somebody in Texas is going to like,
Yeah.
oh, you're a dumbass. Whatever. But when you get out past like West Texas,
Yeah.
the all desert, oh my God. And you
I
have
drove
those
all the way to California.
last gas for 300-mile
Yep.
signs.
Yep. I drove all the way to California and back.
Wow.
And then you'll see the dust
was horrible.
devils,
Yep,
tornadoes on the road.
And the little tumbleweeds
Yeah.
going. Yeah. I
Okay.
had one hit me in my car, and
Yeah.
Avery freaked out.
Yeah. It's an eerie feeling.
I want to check it out.
So some more auto news.
Okay.
Do-do-do-do-do. That's ESPN. That's dumb.
I was about to say, I don't think that was
I didn't
that's
pick up on
sports.
it, so it was off just enough that I don't think I picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Charger EV with the cool speaker in the bumper.
Yeah.
Get this. You'll be shocked, Kenny.
Really?
Nobody's buying them. Guess how many they sold in Q1?
I know
Q1 is January through March, for those you don't know.
I'll guarantee they sold at least a couple because we've seen a couple that have been wrecked. I know.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Guess how many they sold
In 3 months.
in 3 months?
Look, I would want to say 3,000.
They sold 11,000 of them.
Okay.
You know how much they normally would, like, so I looked it up, like in 2022-ish time frame. You know how many they would sell in a quarter on average?
60,000.
Yeah, well, close to that, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So that's a huge drop off. Fun fact, in Q1, they sold more old body Dodge Chargers.
That were on the lots, 22s, 23s, 24s.
They sold more of them than they did the new ones.
so
That's gotta
people
tell you
went
something.
wanting that car. They went wanting that car. And they drove the electric and they go,
I don't even think it's the, yeah,
I can't do it.
But yeah, and here's what drives me, because it doesn't look bad.
No.
The new body design doesn't look bad.
But why are you buying that car?
And well, and here's the whole thing with the Katy Perry going to space. Don't bullshit me. Don't tell me you're doing something and it's not what it is. We're selling you a muscle car. It's not a muscle car.
It isn't a muscle car.
It's not
and
a muscle
if you go
car.
to buy a Challenger, you're kind of looking at buying a muscle car. Even the Charger's a 4-door
So
muscle
all
car,
Dodge
but it is a
did-
muscle car.
and
It
this is-
has a Hemi.
This is what's going to get me into Europeans ruining iconic American brands.
Okay.
They're placating off the name Charger, Challenger. They're playing off the name, the American name. Oh, people will come get it because it says Charger.
It's like Budweiser.
Yeah, well,
Yeah. But okay. So
But how many other companies have done this in the past? We're like, oh, we're going to bring back Ford with the Mustang, the Mach-E.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the new Mustang. No, it's not a
doesn't look
Mustang.
like
It's not
it.
a Mustang.
Yeah.
It's a Mach-E. The Ford Lightning. It's not a Ford Lightning. It's an electric pickup truck. Give
That's
it a
right.
different name. Stop
That's right.
using these, iconic
because Ford
names.
used Lightning as a package back in the pickup truck era. So that's
Yeah, they
right.
had the
Okay.
muscle
And that's
truck.
where you're going
It was their
on.
muscle
right,
truck.
Right. But they're taking something of old and throwing it on something new to help keep
That's
the
completely
relativity
different.
of what it was when it's not.
When
Got
it's
you.
not that.
They're pacing the package in an improper
Yep.
way.
Just so
Okay.
that people, because it's this name, people will buy it. No, they won't.
Yeah.
And the Stellantis, who bought Chrysler,
Now, who is Stellantis? I mean, are
they're a
they,
European auto manufacturer. I think they own Peugeot or
okay. So it's a parent company of maybe
one of those companies. One of those
Okay.
European. I don't care, so I don't
okay.
know.
Okay.
But they own those, and so they bought Chrysler. The guy Carlos Tavares was their CEO. He stepped down.
Now he was with Stellantis and he became the Chrysler CEO
He
through.
he was Stellantis CEO
Oh.
when they bought him.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. come to find out, he's the only person that wanted this to go EV. The Charger and Challenger to go EV. The only person. Nobody else.
Right.
In Stellantis.
It was like a one-man decision.
And he's like, nope, these are going to be EVs.
Wow.
Question for you.
It has backfired.
Cloud, huh?
Is that Charger, the EV Charger, the one where the little boy was like, I don't
No.
like this car
That was-
show?
that
No.
was a Tesla.
Okay.
Yeah. But here, that's a European CEO destroying an iconic American brand. Mm-hmm. And he ain't the first to do it. So you have, what's his name? Johann Zeitz, who is the CEO for Harley Davidson. A lot of Harley guys will know this.
Yep.
He's been running Harley Davidson, in many people's opinion, into the ground the last 4 years. Their prices keep going up. The quality keeps coming down. Mm-hmm. What happened with all the Dodges and Jeeps and Chryslers? The price went up and the quality went down.
Is that why my Jeep Liberty sucks?
No, Jeep Liberties have always sucked.
Oh.
But now Jeep Wranglers, you used to buy them for $40,000. They're like $90,000 now.
Yeah.
The Jeep Grand Cherokee
Wagoneer?
man, that thing is a beast. Now I don't know how much
It's over
recall they have in
$100,000. They sold those. You know what their value is on those now?
No.
$40,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Tiana and I saw one in a dealership like 4 years ago when the new model just came out. We looked this thing up and down. We went through it. We walked away going, God, no.
Exactly.
No.
And people bought them, and they're so upside down on them. But and this is like, I don't know if it's a European mindset, and all Europeans, you're going to be pissed off at me. Get over it. I don't care. You're not American car makers.
He does. He's just wanting to say he doesn't. He's got a great heart.
I do. But I don't when you're just ruining
Cars.
iconic
New Yorkers moved down to
brands.
Florida and went 9% tax. I
You're
tell
just
them to go back north. Right. I get you.
you're ruining the iconic brand. You're just taking the name
Yeah.
and doing whatever you want to with it and thinking that it's okay because you have the name.
That's right.
And that's nonsense. Harley, the same thing with them. So just look at this. So Chrysler prices, Chrysler meaning all Dodges, Jeeps, and Chryslers, they had a price increase over the last 3 years of 24% year over year.
Oh, wow. Not just in 3 years, it's gone up 24%.
24% year over
Every
year
year.
price increase.
Annually, 3 years in a row. God.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
That's
God.
over 100% in
So-
just a few years.
Harley
So-
did the same thing. Harley increased 10% year over year.
Okay, I
the
want
last
to
3
know.
years.
I want to know if that 22 Challenger that is on the lot of old stock that didn't sell, if it's selling at that MSRP or have they raised it to help? Right? Did that
yeah.
car become just because of inflation? Did that sticker go from 27 to 32 to 36 to,
I would argue that as a buyer, I wouldn't pay any more for it than MSRP.
But you'd have to go back and say, what was the MSRP in 2022 for this car? Because
That's
I'll
what
bet
I
it's
would pay.
different than now.
That's what I would pay is the 22 MSRP.
right.
I wouldn't pay any more for it. And simply because, let's say you have an old style, it's 2025.
Yeah.
There's a 2023 that never sold. So it's a brand new car. Easy numbers, it was 25 grand. It still hasn't sold. MSRP then was 25 grand. I wouldn't pay any more than 25 because as soon as you buy that and you drive it off the lot, you have a 2-year-old car.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
That's great scenario. Great.
Low mileage.
Nobody
but
cares,
Still
but
2 years.
nobody
cares. It's a 2-year-old used car now. Whether you drove it for 5 miles or
Right.
5,000 miles
Yeah.
or 50,000
And
miles.
it's going to have a second owner, and the person's going to wonder
Yep.
why you're selling with no mileage. You got a lemon? Did you buy a lemon? Did you
Yep.
buy a lemon? Right.
So there's a whole nother.
Listen,
But but
go ahead. Go ahead.
Ford and Chevy,
Yeah.
their prices have went up
Yeah. But what is Dodge doing
over
to
the
bring a
last
little bit of love?
5 years. Ford and Chevy, their prices increased 25% total.
Wow.
Total.
Wow. I mean, that's a
So-
lot less than Chrysler. But Chrysler
times less.
Dodge
sales have
Rams.
been huge.
Dodge Rams, for the longest time, were always the better bang for your buck in a truck. They were cheaper than Ford F-150s. They were cheaper than Chevys. You had comparable equipment, comparable reliability. The truck I bought in 2017 for 48 grand, the same trim level truck in an F-150 was probably $10,000, $12,000 more.
Wow.
So it was always a better bang for your buck.
Yeah.
People will say, but it's a Dodge. Well, I don't care. But now the Dodges are more expensive. Come on, man. That just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense.
No.
So the Harley CEO, he's out. So we'll see what happens with that.
And Stellantis
Carlos
is out?
Taveros, he's out. They're going to start making the Hemis for the Chargers again. Those are coming back.
Yeah.
So
And
Huge changes.
that's a no-brainer.
it's a no-brainer.
And everybody loves it, you know.
Yeah, man.
What you're doing
People
aftermarket.
love
When they crash,
Hemis.
people are scavenging to buy a motor for $25,000. I mean, they want them, you know.
Hemis are good motors.
Damn right.
People are putting Hemis in classic cars now,
Yes.
like LS
Yes.
swaps. They're doing Hemi
Yes.
swaps.
Yes.
They're good motors.
People are making adaptable plates for Hemi superchargers to go on to LSs. It's a
Really?
big thing. The Hellcat supercharger on an LS.
Wow.
Yeah, 900 plus automatic.
Wow,
It's
that's
pretty crazy.
cool.
Yeah, and they got an adapter plate for it now. I just Googled this real quick. Stellantis did not buy Chrysler. Rather, Chrysler became part of Stellantis through a merger between Fiat Chrysler Automobiles (FCA) and the PSA Group Peugeot. I'm not going to try associate Illinois. In 2021, the merger was a $52 billion deal. Chrysler was already a subsidiary of FCA before the merger. So they were already owned by Fiat.
Yep. That's true. They were.
They were Daimler before that.
I liked those. Were to me. That's.
I
Those
hate
were-
Mercedes engineering, man. It's just over. They brought too much to it.
But the quality during that time frame was really good.
It went up, but the engineering was overboard. As a mechanic, I'm just saying.
But I will say it didn't. Well, and I've never bought Dodge cars. I take that back. I had a Charger once.
The only new car I've ever bought was a Dodge Neon.
I call them Skittles.
Yeah.
Yeah, the SRT4s. Those things were fast.
Yeah, this was a four banger. Didn't do
Yeah,
much.
the SRT4s were four
Yeah, okay,
bangers,
well, this
but they
was-
were like turbocharged.
Right.
They were
Yeah.
fast. dude.
Yeah.
We called them Skittles because
Okay.
they were a little colored and little cars. But anyway,
Yeah, okay.
but I've had a Dodge Charger,
I like Skittles.
but that's the only Charger. That's the only
don't.
Dodge I've ever really owned. Or I had the Challenger, but I think Charger and Challenger was the only thing I would ever really buy in a
Yeah.
Dodge. A Chrysler, I would never buy a Chrysler.
I had a
But when-
Chrysler Sebring.
I would never buy that.
And it broke down
worse.
real quick.
That's
I
worse
sell
than
them.
a Jeep Liberty.
I
But
sell
Real
them.
quick.
when Daimler
lying.
when Daimler owned Chrysler,
Yeah.
the only ones that seemed to be over-engineered and they can create a bunch of crap was on Chrysler cars. Remember that? What was that one little sports car they made that looked like a Mercedes? The wing kind of came up.
The Crossfire.
Crossfire, Chrysler Crossfire. That thing was a hunk of junk, and it was an over-engineered, Mercedes type thing that they were trying to create.
Yeah.
But the pickups have always been great. I'm glad they separated out from Dodge to its own company, Ram. But yeah, Chrysler Sebring, that's worse than a Jeep Liberty.
Well,
Was it a convertible?
In my defense, it was a gift for having a baby. It was my push present from my parents
Oh, okay.
because I had a Pontiac Fiero.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I like the old V6.
I got a soft spot for
GTs.
Fieros,
Yes.
man. I don't-
So I've been looking for one. So my dad
Yeah,
got
she
me a
said this.
1984 Pontiac Fiero. We got it from a junkyard or a police auction. It cost us $1,500. I wish we kept it
Yeah.
because now I can't find it for
I'm
less
gonna
than
look one up.
$15,000. I was looking for one. It was like
Yeah.
14 grand. I'm like,
I saw
Right.
one on
Well, the
Facebook.
GT, the
But-
V6 GT manual transmission they're
Yeah.
hard to find.
well, and mine
and
had the
they are
the
fun
T-top
to drive.
It was the first time I ever realized that engines can be in the trunk
Yeah.
versus in the front.
They call it, mid-engine, rear engine, right?
Yeah.
And it took me, I think, about 2 weeks of owning the car before I realized that.
Okay.
Nobody told
You kept
I mean,
hearing this noise
I was
behind you and
20.
just thought it was whatever, right?
I was like 19, 20
Right,
years old. I
right.
didn't know anything.
Yeah,
Here's
in
an
a Fiero, you get a
85.
frunk.
It's an 85
Yeah.
Pontiac GT Fiero.
Yeah.
Don't look too bad. It's black, but
Yeah.
they want $12,500 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I was looking at was red.
That's crazy because
Yeah.
those things were
No, they were cheap.
They were junk.
And they're fiberglass.
Yeah.
Here's a white one.
But now they aren't around.
12,500.
Every
Yeah.
day you go to work, I want you to look all of next week and tell me if you pass one on the street.
You don't.
That's right.
You don't see
How many
them.
do we see them at car shows? Never.
Never.
That's right.
I had a Pontiac Fiero.
I
Really?
don't know if
I
I
did,
ever,
yeah. I got it. I think I traded something for it. I was in Hill Air Force Base. I was still in the military. And a guy had one. I think he was just trying to get rid of it. I don't know if I gave $100 for that fucking thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah, mine was under 15.
I had a blast with this thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was like my first
Well, it's
car.
like a go-kart.
It was my first car.
So I put leopard print on the headliner.
Oh, man.
On the pillars, just because it was like that ugly doo-doo brown.
Yeah.
And so I was just having a blast with it. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It ran like shit.
Yes, that was my problem.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get ridiculous with this thing. And I did.
Well,
and it was a
them
lot
come
of
with
fun.
The 2.5 liter four-cylinder. That's just a slow-ass junk little motor.
It was. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So I didn't care about. So it was a lot of fun for me.
But the V6, the 5-speed, you can do some things to them, whatever, and you can actually get them sound good and run good.
You can buy Lambo body kits for those things.
Now you
Yes,
can. That's
I
correct.
almost did that. But
That
it
would
would
be funny.
idle at like 5 miles per hour. So if my foot wasn't on the brake,
You're going.
we were going.
Oh, right.
And somebody was being really sweet and borrowed my car on my birthday to go fill it up with flowers and bring it back. Well, they didn't know about the idling.
Oh.
Smashed into the Golden Corral. Smashed into it. But
At
didn't
least they could
cause
fix
any
it because it was
damage.
only 3 feet high.
Well, it didn't cause any damage to the vehicle. It caused like spidering at the hood.
Yeah, because of plastic and stuff, right?
Yeah.
This thing's clean.
Chris?
Ugh,
I'm not
making me
buying
want
it.
one.
I'll put the pictures up here for you guys.
But so then I think it was like 3 weeks later, we're driving and it's me and my brother in the car. We're driving to school and it's a one way coming this way, one way going that way. And my brakes go out. Completely go out. I'm hitting the brakes. We're not stopping. There's a Mack truck in front of me. There's a car behind me. There's cars going this way. And there's cow pasture on this side. So we go into the cow pasture and I pull the e-brake and I'm still pumping the brakes, hoping something happens. And we just go, and we are probably about a foot away from a telephone pole.
Wow.
We talk about life flashing before your eyes.
Yeah.
We were both of us crying, freaking out. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Wow. And e-brake
Yeah.
is an emergency brake. Although you can use it in an emergency. It's
That
not
was-
recommended because then you go into river slide and stuff.
I didn't know what else to do.
It's actually called a parking brake. Look, guy, is he having a cigar? Look at his fat. What are these shorts he's wearing?
Look
Okay,
at that.
right.
How clean that is.
Yeah, but when he shows you the picture of the dash, it looks kind of red. There's a fat guy in the back now. No, it is very
He's even
clean.
got a little model of his
Oh,
Fiero
he's-
in his
He
Fiero.
really likes it.
That's cool. I'm impressed because I've seen a lot of Fieros and they're all beat to shit.
But he'll
See,
take
mine
10.
was
If he's
great.
really solid, he'll take 10 all day long. Maybe
I'll
even
give him
9.
5.
Maybe even 9.
He won't take 5. This is a formula. This is a Fiero formula.
Okay, but it's not GT. Formula's probably still.
I don't know the
still
difference.
4-cylinder.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, Fiero, that was fun. That was a fun little tangent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So another tangent. Did you guys, because you were talking about sales being down, Tesla.
Ooh, yeah.
Are their
Doge.
sales down?
Well, now they
71%.
are down.
Who would have thought?
Well, he said he's going to pull out of Doge to 2 days a week.
Yeah.
He just announced this, yesterday, today?
He wants to focus
he was
more
never going to
on-
be in it for a long time.
Well, he said, I'm going, and I'm only going to do 2 days a week. The other days, I'm going to be back at Tesla
okay.
That's right.
because they would have been at a loss this first quarter if it wasn't for, which I don't really know anything about this, but they sold 600 million tax credits or they'd be at a loss.
Chris, what's the tax credit?
I don't.
I know what a tax credit is. I don't know how it
I don't know
affects-
how you
I don't
sell
I don't know how it
it.
applies to car sale.
Well, he works for the government. He has government contracts, and he
No, that has nothing to do with it.
okay.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I was reading it, and just to see that they would have been at a loss was like a, especially how quickly they were
his
growing.
intention to be at Doge was, I think he always said for less than a year.
He said, "I'm going to give this every bit of
Yeah.
attention I can, and because the America deserves it."
Yeah.
He did not plan on going for a term with President Trump.
No, not at all.
He wanted to go in, get things rolling, make a difference, let people see what it was, how it was, and how it can be. And I think he's done that. Once they get established, he planned on backing off. I think that the people giving the death threats, burning the
Yeah.
dealerships, I think all of it has caused a lot. But I remember a story way back when Instagram just first came out, TikTok, whichever it was, and this woman, I guess a lot of people call her Karen, whatever it was. This woman was in California, and she had gone to a car dealership, and a Kia, and she had done some service there, whatever, bought car, whatever, done, and they didn't treat something right. They did something wrong. She went to go You know, I think it had to do with they told her that it was your gas tank. It took $28 to fill, whatever it was, and she had to spend like $32.
Oh,
But she got premium, and they talked about regular pump. And so she went on her account where she had a bunch of followers, thousands. And she's like, y'all got to boycott. I want you to do this right now because they lied to me. And they all went on there to do it. The dealership said, hey, we're going to give you the car. Here's the money back. Keep the car. Just talk good about us because you're killing us. One person.
she must have been really popular.
She was really popular. And it wasn't an actress, but she did makeup or did something, whatever. And she went, and all these people jumped out there and bit the head off of this dealership, and they were going to tank as a company if they didn't give this girl a car.
That was cancel culture at its finest, and I'm glad we're kind of out of that time frame where you can't. People just don't care about being canceled no more.
I don't have a sign out front of my shop.
Nope, you don't. You have a thing in there.
I have a marquee board on the side, facing one direction.
Yep.
It came with the building. Half the lights don't work.
But the thing is,
Half the time, nothing's on there.
Well, no, it's always just said current to classic.
Yeah,
That's all it says.
But better than a sign is you have like 8 to 10 classic cars sitting up front.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of phone calls about, hey, how much are the 2 Mustangs? I said, they don't say for sale. Well, they look like they're for sale. No, if they were for sale, they'd say for sale. That's kind of how I look at it.
At least 5 a week.
Right.
At least
But-
5 a week. Come in. Not even call.
I don't
they come in.
I want to be word of mouth shop. I want and we're banging busy. And it is through referrals only. And I'm proud of that. Because you can Google and there's some haters, man. That's right. Damn right. They're
You're always
call
going
me
to have
every
haters.
name in the book, man.
You're always
I
going to
came
have
out my
haters.
mom's ass and not
Well, I mean,
another area.
just
So it
to
is
your
what it
point
is.
of the lady, because it took $32 instead of $28. That she's going to throw a fit. I ain't got time for you. Go away.
But they took her serious. They absolutely
I
had
wouldn't
to.
even have given
They
her the
had
time
to,
of day.
though. People were wanting to line up protest. It was horrible.
You know, and the reason cancel culture became a thing was because people bend the knee to them.
Yeah.
That's why
You
it
cower.
existed. And
Right.
now that's why it doesn't exist,
Well,
because people don't bend the knee anymore.
That's why I say we're not going to fold. I will never fold for the pussification of America.
Yeah.
We
I
had
don't
a
even- I don't
backbone.
even- I don't-
We
I ain't
once
got time.
had the Marlboro Man. We once had John Wayne. And by God, Ronald Reagan, let's do it, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are we done?
American all the way.
Don't dent the hood.
All right.
I ain't that strong.
Yeah. May 4th, if you're local to us here in the East Coast of Florida, May 4th in Viera at Ford's Garage from 8 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. Short and sweet. It's a beautiful car show. Last time, Chris, over 300 cars, 2 full blocks.
It was huge.
It was
I'm excited.
awesome.
And
so come out and see us.
Pearl, my 85 C10,
Oh, yeah.
is currently
You
in
can
the
drop some
shop.
pictures. You got some stuff?
I do.
Okay, we do maybe.
And I know
Yeah, I've got a
Stephanie
ton.
has a lot more than I
Yeah.
do. But so Pearl, my 85 C10, always with an old farm truck, sat out in the desert for over a decade.
She's torn down.
She's stripped down right now, and
Yeah,
she's
buddy.
getting a paint job. And Kenny is just cracking the whip over there to make sure that those guys are done before May 4th.
Yeah, we
My
want, we
son's
want
actually
this truck.
working on it. This is his
Yeah.
first vehicle that
Yeah.
he's been really going
Yeah.
to town on, and he's developing a passion. And I gotta say, he's developing a passion for cars.
You brought it in,
And
and
it's-
the second
yeah.
day it was torn. The bed was off and
Yeah.
down and
Yeah.
getting dirty. And
So I was talking to your son earlier when I was out there with Pearl because I was, trying to help with that, and he fell in love with Pearl.
Oh,
He
That's
fell- he's
awesome.
like, he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I love this truck. It's just so good.
He was like, "Mom, I don't want to buy a new car. I like old cars now."
and there's, look,
There
there's-
we go. There
Listen
we
to
go.
me.
Them
Listen.
20-year-olds again.
Yeah.
But the real deal about an old car, you buy it at the price you buy it at. If you take care of it from where it's at, it will never, ever go down in value.
Nope. I told my
Ever.
oldest daughter, I was like, if you're going to spend $30,000 on a car, buy an old one.
Fuck you right. Because they're made better. The long steel, there's less to break. Okay, I'm not going to get a
Not only
massage
that-
on the way to work. I don't have the heated seat vibrating. Oh,
But guess
so,
what? But guess what? You drive that car, that $30,000 car.
Yeah, buddy.
You'll drive it for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be worth $45,000.
That's right. And
I want my Fiero back
Yeah.
now.
See?
everybody looks at you and they go, dope, Ryan.
Yep.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
Love. Is it for sale? No.
Yep.
This is my baby. Leave it be.
Yep.
There's a worth
Buy an old one.
to having a classic
Oh
car.
man, absolutely, absolutely. It's just the feel of it, and just watch movies. When you watch movies,
Yes.
are they driving new cars?
No.
They're driving old Corvettes, old Camaros, old Oldsmobile 442s,
Right.
Gran Torinos.
Right.
That's what the stars are driving in the car,
Right.
in the movies.
Right.
Why is that?
Because they know.
Because they're cooler, man.
Because they know.
'Cause
And they
they're
are cooler. Yeah.
I know. You guys have got it to where I'm like, oh, I think I need something.
Yeah,
I think I need
it's
something.
addicting. Well, Dolphin Juan, he I say it again. he came to us not owning one, but had been a former drag racer. Built his cars, built his engines.
Oh, yeah.
Drag raced them and went to work on Monday. And he's now got 3 classic rides, and he's putting them all together. And he says he wants a 4th, and I love it because it is addicting, but it is fun. And when you get done with Pearl, I can't wait to see the 56 roll out. And then we're going to see what imagination Marcy has for that.
And what a healthy hobby to have.
It is a healthy
Like,
hobby, man.
we're not out
Not
doing
for your bank
drugs.
account. Not for your bank
No.
account.
Okay, but think about it. You could be doing
an
meth,
investment.
and it's not
It
good for
is.
your
100%.
bank account either.
We know
So
that kitchens
I
and
have-
bathrooms give you most return in the house, but doing a paint job on a truck,
Yes.
it'll get you your bang for the buck
Yeah.
back
Now,
on it.
you're cutting me a really sweet deal on this paint job.
Look, I'll still make a profit. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Absolutely.
But
as you should.
But you're gonna advertise. You're gonna be that word of mouth.
I'm a billboard.
100%.
And I know you're taking it to short, to
Yep,
shows,
I'm a
to
billboard.
church, to schools, to what, and the way you're doing it, I approve of the paint
Yep.
scheme, and it's gonna be. The wheels are already there. We've already done so much to her. I've watched her go from a farm truck to a classic truck.
She is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glass
it's a
trucks.
big difference.
Super awesome.
But
man.
Just in a week.
But
Super
you know,
awesome.
right now I have, I don't know, $9,000 in that truck.
Yeah, what's today? Are we gonna?
Even without the paint job, I have like $9,000 in it.
But what's today? Is it today? Man,
Today's Thursday, the
What's-
24th.
24. So how many days left do we have? 10 days? 8
Yeah.
days?
Yeah.
Days.
That's
Guys,
pushing it.
hard.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next
I
week
don't know
I'll
if you
have,
make it.
Next week I'll have Steve on it. I just put Steve on it next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I came in today to help work on Pearl, and I was more of a distraction than I was.
Well, what-
Everybody's talking to me, and I like to talk to people. And
But what did you see in your head? What did you think you were going to come in and do? I mean, have you ever held a DA and stripped a car?
no,
Okay.
I was just gonna be the gopher, right? Go for this, go for that. Give me this,
Yeah, I
do
like
that.
Yeah.
And they just were talking to me about this and talking to me, and I'm a talker. I'll talk too. And I was like,
and
you know
my
what?
son will talk your ear off.
Yeah,
Love
and
him.
so I was talking to him. He's
a
and I'm like,
chatty.
Your son's awesome.
He's chatty
And,
Cathy.
so I was like, I even told Kenny, I was like, man, I'm gonna get out of here because I'm more of a distraction than a help.
I
so.
just worry about Roy and Connor starting talking too much where they don't get because I can't watch them out there.
I
and
go
don't.
out there and I'm like,
Right. Well, I said to Connor today, I said, on your phone again? He goes, I'm at lunch. I was like, oh, okay, look stupid. I said, okay. And I walked away. But I don't know how to do it when I don't manage out there. When Roy's by himself, I know he sits down at times, his legs get out, but he's usually applied some bond or done something else
Yeah.
on something or whatever. And he doesn't screw me too hard. And I tried to give him a raise once, a good raise, and he told me no. So I accept that. So, yeah, but I'll get Steve on it next week because it has to go into paint. It has to go in paint by the 30th.
yeah, so then it can sit
In
and
order to
then
be
be
back,
buffed.
in order to be back by the 2nd or 3rd, I don't even care if we get it wet
Buffed.
sanded and buffed by the time we do the show. If we can put her back together and she's not 100%, if the wiper arms aren't on, but there's no chance of rain or whatever, I don't care. If we can get her there looking good,
Viper runs 2 seconds.
well, I'm just giving a.
Maybe we don't
Yeah.
have 2 seconds.
But we're taking the drip rails off. We're taking the custom mirrors off, or the factory mirrors, which are big and bulbous. We're putting some customs on there. We're filling up some emblem holes. We're filling in a lot of weld holes that were for toppers and stuff in the back in the day and all whatever. So there's a bit to it. We're going to do 2 blocks on this, guide coat blocks. And with the white pearl, we know that we can hide some stuff. I don't need to go into 3 or 4 blocks, but the job will look so great once we do the wet sand and buff. But until then, it'll be a little bit rougher than what it should be. Man, the day's going quick. This week was a shit ton of work, but
yeah, if you,
we got a lot out.
yeah,
if you guys are in Vieira, stop by. You'll see Lucy.
yeah.
Come have breakfast with us.
And
Yeah,
then
brunch.
Maybe
It's a great
Brunch.
chicken waffles, man.
maybe Pearl will be there. We're hoping. We're pushing for
Yeah.
Pearl to be there.
Yeah.
So come
Yeah.
hang out with us.
Yeah.
You'll never understand how much it really helps to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us out a ton if you guys will do that, and I'd really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we've got a Facebook page, we've got an Instagram page, a TikTok, we've got a Facebook group. Dolphin Auto, the main sponsor, and my shop, we've got a Facebook page and a web page and all that stuff that we do. So we're talking about doing some CCTV in the shop, and maybe Mike and Kenny and I sometimes or whatever. We'll see how the summer goes.
It'd be a good time.
Play with some stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and always take care of your mental health and ask somebody if they're okay. All right?
Thanks, guys.